I think I might be the only guy batting 1,000 off Ohtani.
Nice.
I'm taking that one to the grave.
First pitch, fastball, line deep to left. Adios! 2-run home run, Jesse Hodges.
He threw me a 3-1 slider to walk me.
That's a compliment.
That's a compliment. He just showed me so much respect by throwing me a 3-1 slider in the 9-hole. So I went online and this lady was renting out her closet. I don't know what for. I need a place to stay. Can I sleep in your closet? Can I live in your closet?
Welcome to another episode of Conversations. And I'm super excited about my next guest because I had the privilege of coaching him when he was a young 18-year-old kid. And now, after playing professional baseball, he's given back by coaching our youth here in Toronto. Welcome, Jesse Hodges.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super, like I said, I'm super excited. We talked before, off air and stuff like that because, when I first met you, it was, you're a young, shy kind of type of guy, I would say. But I knew.
I wouldn't say shy. I would say like
shy because you're 18 years old. But
I knew nobody. I remember coming to the team and 16 guys knew each other because
Right.
they're all from OBJ. There was 2 guys on the team from BC.
Right, and you're one of them.
And I was like, holy shit.
I remember that
everyone
was a
knows
heavyweight
everyone,
Ontario team.
and I don't know anyone here. So I got to find my way.
Right.
So I was a little quiet at first.
So those of you who don't know Jesse, he played professional baseball with the Chicago Cubs for a few. How many years was it?
8 seasons.
8 seasons.
2012 to 19.
Right. And so I want to talk a little bit about professional baseball, but also go into kind of like when you were 18 years old and, it was a crazy run that we had that I want to talk about. But before we talk about that, let's talk about professional baseball and what that meant to you as a baseball player, as a Canadian kid coming up, giving you opportunities. Tell us about that.
Well, like you said, we'll get into the Team Canada stuff later, but I remember showing up a week and a half after the Worlds were over. And I was supposed to go to a junior college in Texas. I was going to go to Grayson.
Oh, Grayson. Okay.
So I had already gone there because I didn't get drafted. That's a whole nother thing. I thought I was going to get drafted. All that didn't happen. Whatever. So I had already moved all my stuff to Grayson. I had nothing. So when I came back from Korea, I went home for a couple days and I went to the Instructs
Right.
with a backpack and a collared shirt and a pair of shorts. That's all I had. And that was my first impression of pro ball. I'm there with what I got,
Right.
and no one's going to help you out. Right. Because when you get drafted, pockets of guys come in together. 15 to 20 dudes, they walk around the hotel together. I came in by myself. So, I had to figure all that out on my own, and I learned quick.
Yeah.
No one's going to hold your hand. What does POD mean? Plan of the day on the board. That's at 7 a.m. Oh, so I got to be here at 6:30.
Right.
No, you got to be here at 5 because you got early work. Well, what the hell's early work, right? So you figure all that stuff out super early. And then I'd say I was lucky to be about 19, 20 when I really figured out how pro ball worked.
It takes time.
It took
seasons,
me,
right?
it takes guys, if you come in out of college, you're 23, 24 when you really figure out how it works because college and pro ball, they're different.
Right.
They're way different. So when I came in when I was 18, by 19, 20, I understood the game and how to go about my business.
Right.
And that's how I lasted, man, because I wasn't a first rounder. I wasn't even a rounder.
Yeah.
It's a free agent sign.
Right.
So if I didn't figure it out, revolving door, man. See you later.
No, you always had to, prove yourself.
Always. And that's what I want to talk to you about
Yeah,
today was how it worked with
100%.
Team Canada.
I love it. Yeah, let's go back to the Team Canada moment because you're, like I said, the reason why I said shy is I knew you weren't shy. I knew you were deep down inside, you're a dirtbag. And you
slowly started to come out.
Yeah, you're just young and, naive. But tell us about kind of leading up to your selection with the junior national team. And you started going to trips. And specifically, I want to get into the 2012 season.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because that was kind of that catalyst for your career. And it all started with the junior national team. And I'm sure a lot of other things happened before that. But specifically, let's talk about that.
So let's go back a little bit before that. So like my dad played pro ball with the Braves.
Right.
My grandfather, he played on the junior national team like way
Oh, no
long
way.
ago. Like way.
What year was that?
I mean, he was born in '66.
Okay.
So I think he must have played in
the 80s.
somewhere in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was a pitcher, shortstop. But then my grandfather was a scout with Walt Burroughs. So
Okay.
like my baseball family is like rooted deep. So they kind of gave me the heads up about how to go about my business. But once you get there, it's completely different. So when you get selected to the junior national team, you show up to the airport with the guy who's from BC with you. That's it. So that one guy. And it was, you know who it was?
I want to say, man, I have the roster here. Who is it?
It was Isherwood.
Clayton
And he had
Isherwood.
already been on the team the year
Right.
before, slinging that lefty
Yeah,
pie,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and if you know Clayton, he doesn't say much.
Yeah, he's a quiet guy.
So I remember being like, "Hey, what's it like, dude?" And he was like, "It's baseball." Like he didn't give a shit. He didn't know what to tell me, right? He was just like, "We're going to play baseball."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fine. So you get to the airport. I remember this clear as day. And then they tell us, "Oh, the bus is out there." And me and Clayton were the first on the bus. So we're just sitting there chilling, right? And then this wave of Ontario guys come in and they're all pushing each other, acting like they're best friends. And I'm kind of like, "What the hell is going on here?" Like, and they know each other.
Right.
So, and they're young, and most of them have been on the team, like Saucedo, Han, Gareth, like all those guys.
Right.
Maybe Kellogg, like all those guys
Kellogg.
that have been on the team, they're
Right.
like, it's just another day. We're going back to it. And no one really said anything to me for that whole bus ride.
Was
So
that was that in Florida?
St. Pete's. That's
Okay,
St.
yeah,
Pete's.
okay.
We're like day one right now.
Right.
So I'm just like observing like how these guys are, and like they're a little crazy to me. Like guys out west, we didn't really act like that. Like, they're fighting on the bus, and I'm like, okay, I get it. And then I didn't start talking to these guys till like the next day on the field, and I went up and started introducing myself, and they were like, "What's up, man?"
Oh, the big league and yeah.
Big leaguing me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like, why are you big leaguing
Yeah.
me? Like, we're supposed to be on a team, right?
Right.
So I just kind of sat back and kind of watched how these guys went about their business. And as trips went on with the players and the coaches, I had to earn the trip because like I was just trying to figure it all out. Because if you go into a situation acting like you know everything, if you're wrong, see ya.
Right.
So you got to kind of like figure it out and watch where you step. Same thing in pro ball. You got to watch
sure.
where you're going. So that was the biggest thing for me, is just trying to learn personalities and understand who you can say what to and what you can do around certain guys. Because that's, at the end of the day, if you can learn which each guy you play with likes, that's how you become a good teammate. Like I can talk to this guy like this,
Right.
but
Like
this
you
guy,
know
no.
the dynamics.
So that's
there.
why I sat there and kind of was like, whoa, okay. But it's kind of crazy though at 18
Right.
when you're just thrown into this pit of 35 guys and we're playing guys in rookie ball. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but like you're battling for a job.
Yeah.
Because I know there were guys that were just freaking happy to be there, man. And they ended up getting cut. Like they thought they were on the team, right? But the more you battle, the better chance you have.
So going from that first trip in St. Pete's, obviously the junior national team schedule is pretty hectic. I think we
Crazy.
went to Dominican or Florida, probably again, ESPN.
St. Pete's, ESPN. Then we went to
In
Dominican,
Orlando.
and then we came back to Toronto for a little bit.
Right, for
then
a camp.
we went to Italy,
Italy, and then
we went
Korea.
to Korea.
So let's talk about that transition, because that was obviously a world championship year. You weren't part of that 2011 team, but
No.
we went down to Colombia.
Colombia, I was actually watching that on my
it
computer.
was wild, man.
Huh.
I'm telling you, that was my first time in Colombia, but we were there for 3 weeks and we had to finish top 4. And there's another story with that whole trip, but that basically got us qualified for the World Championships in Seoul in 2012.
Yeah.
So we're
Well, Justin brings that up often.
yeah,
Yo,
we're gonna-
you guys got to go to the Worlds, but we got you there. It doesn't make sense. I was like, hey, man, tough.
yeah, Justin Mara, he's a guy that I definitely want to speak to, because we have some stories there. But that whole year was a building process for us as a coaching staff. We're trying to now, because that team was actually, it was a very slow team. So that whole year,
The
we're
2011
we're
team?
struggling. Yeah.
Or 2012.
2011 team. 2012 wasn't any faster, but we had to start building off of that, right? Because we had certain pieces that we liked, and that was the whole process of why it was such a big schedule in terms of Dominican, Florida, playing against Pro Ball. We're actually getting ready for the 2012 World Championships in Seoul.
We played against tons of minor league teams that year.
Yeah,
Tons.
Yeah, and I think it got us prepared.
But that's good.
For the
You
most
want to
part.
do that.
Yeah.
Even if we're getting smashed.
But let's fast forward to Italy. So it's pre-camp before the World Championships.
Now, what I remember from it, at least from a coaching standpoint, I'm pumped we're going to Italy, first of all, because what a great place to be.
Yeah.
We're in Trieste, Italy. Beautiful city.
Yeah, very country.
Very country Italy.
Where did we go for the
Venice.
day? It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah,
It was like way out.
Yeah, it was Trieste, Italy.
Like
on the
I went to
border
go
of,
grab
like,
lunch
Slovenia.
at 3:00 and everything was closed. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like stuff like that where, we had a great training camp, but we went over there and I think it was Team Italy, this other travel team that happened
It was
to
a
be
fake
in Italy.
USA.
Yeah,
It was a
like
fake USA,
Team
man.
America, I think.
Yeah.
And it was us. So we're
Yeah.
playing against the senior team, the junior team, and this Team America. And I kid you not, we could not win a single game.
No, I know.
And let me tell you, we had guys like Cal Quantrill, Josh Naylor, Gareth Morgan,
Yep.
yourself, Daniel Pinero,
Brian Kellogg, Jacob
Jacob
Robson, Brett
Robson.
Siddle.
Brett Siddle, like all pro guys,
Yeah.
right? And Dayton Daw. Like the
Daw.
list goes on, but we couldn't win a game. What was your mindset like during that camp and an experience there?
Well, for me, number one, if you know me, I'm trying to win every single game. So like when we would lose to that shitty USA team or Team Italy, like I was pissed. And I remember looking around and guys were like kind of like laughing it off. And I was like in the back of my mind, like even the first couple games, I'm like, yo, there's no way Hammy is going to let this slide. Like something's coming because there's no way we should be losing those games. But for me, it was like there was two things going on. I was having to deal with the fact that I was there on the fringe kind of still. And I knew that because I would play a game, do well. Someone else would come in the next game, but they wouldn't do that well.
Right.
Like I remember it. I remember who was playing third and what happened. And then I would play again and then I would have a good game. And then the next day, there would be another guy playing third. And then finally, I guess I just forced my hand and you guys had to end up ultimately picking me. But like I remember having to battle for a spot there and trying to show that we can win games. So I think we lost 3 in a row. Yeah. And I think we lost to that Team USA that was like a
Team
travel
America,
team.
yeah.
Like there were Canadian guys on that team.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember
Hanley was there.
the Ontario guys were saying like, "Oh, this guy plays," and I'm
Yeah,
like,
that was Hobie Hanley.
"Yeah, I don't know who
Yeah.
these guys are, right? Being from out west, but like, I was confused." And I remember when Greg lost it. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
So Gareth made the final out of a game, and he smashed his bat on the ground, and it exploded. And during Hammy's speech after the game, he was like saying like, that's what I want to see. Like, I want to see a guy who cares, makes something happen, like shows his anger when we're losing to these teams. And I was like, yeah, like I agree.
Yeah.
Because like some of the guys that ended up like having to go home from Italy were like the dudes that were like almost just like happy to be there.
Right.
Like they didn't understand like what was at stake for like us, like our stock as baseball players and Baseball Canada. And like I was like, "Fool, man, like don't let the coaches see you laughing at all." I don't know if you guys saw, but like after the games, like at the back of the bus, guys would be like cracking jokes and I'd be like, "Fool, man, like
Yeah.
we probably want to keep it quiet right now cuz we like it should be so quiet we should be able to hear a mouse fart."
Yeah.
Like, that's my mindset, but some guys just
No, you're 100%
care.
right because that's after.
But I'm trying to just feel like the coaches didn't say anything.
Right.
I was just feeling your vibe and I knew
Well, that's what
y'all
we're
weren't
looking
happy,
for.
man. And
You know
I get
it.
it.
Yeah,
I get it.
You got to know when the time and place is to crack jokes. When we're losing and we're preparing for a world championship and people are
the
giggling,
world's, man, and we're losing to a travel team.
yeah, we're in trouble. So that was basically the whole Italy trip. It was an amazing trip, but it was something that I think stuck out with you personally is because that's what we were missing. We wanted more guys to be that dirtbag type of player. And that's what, to me, sold me on you, basically, the fact that you played the game right and you always played the game hard, right? So tell us about.
I didn't have the plus tools. Like I had solid stuff, but like I wasn't gonna show anything in BP.
Right.
In and out, I wasn't gonna be showing off my arm from across. I had solid tools, but I didn't have anything that really stood out. So I knew my showcase was in the game.
Right.
Like that was my time to show y'all what's up.
So selection camp happens. Tell us about that process.
Oh, your sick joke?
What was the sick joke?
Yeah, what was your sick joke? Okay. You know it. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
This was probably one of like the most, like I don't like to use the word panic, but like nervous, torturing things I've ever been through. Okay? So like we're staying in an old, like our hotel wasn't
bed and breakfast.
Yeah, it was like
an inn.
Yeah, it was like almost like every hallway was like really long and the doors were weird. And so basically you guys were calling us up like to your room to let us know if we made the team or not. And I remember getting the phone call to the room. Yep, come on up. Okay, so I walk out my room, walk down this long hallway, get into this shitty Italian elevator where it was moving so slow I thought I was like pulling myself up. Like you know one of those things in the side of the house to do laundry? That's how slow it was going, right? Get up to your floor, walk to your room, it's cracked. Greg's like, yeah, come on in. So I walk in and like there's 4 of you in there. It's you, Greg, Reeds, and Eck.
Yeah.
And like Greg's in the front, sitting at the desk, and there's 3 of you guys in the back. And you guys are like this. Head down, like not even looking at me, like this. And Greg's just kind of like looking down, playing around, and he's like, so what do you think? And I was like, oh, I think I did well, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you know, he gave something, and then he started saying like, you did everything you could. And I remember hearing that and being like, just like melting into my chair, shit my pants kind of moment, right? And he was like, you did everything you could, you made your country proud, you like showed us everything, but and like he kind of paused, and I was like, oh my God, man, like I can't believe I'm flying home from Italy by myself. He's like, you made the team. And then you guys in the back like finally looked up and were like laughing it off. Like it was hilarious. And I'm like, this is not even close to funny right now.
See.
I'm 18 years old, man. I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with this. And then you guys dap me up and thinking it's all good. But I didn't sleep, man. And then you say to me like, hey, Greg's like, hey, don't show any emotion when you go down because your teammate's not getting the same news.
Right.
So like I'm walking through the hallway back to my room, and my teammate who I was rooming with is like all excited and like, wish me luck. And I'm like, I know he's not on the team. And I was like, oh God.
Man.
So I was like, yeah, man. And I just go into my room, and
Crazy
I didn't sleep all night for 2 reasons. My teammate was going nuts, and I was like still like shaking from that little joke you guys pulled on me, man. Why did you want to do that to me? Like you didn't talk about this with any, or do you think I could handle it, or do you?
Yeah, it's only we did it with Eddie Julian too, like stuff like guys like that, guys that we know could handle it because.
So then towards the end of the trip, you must have known I wasn't shy.
No, I knew it, and well, that's kind of the reason. You've over the past trips, you've proved that you just showed up. You wanted it bad, and that's what we needed. And that's why I want to transition now to we're a winless team in Italy.
Did we get one?
Maybe
one against that
7.
USA team. Like
yeah, but we're like
we sucked.
We sucked, and we're going over to Korea.
We sucked,
and we're going over to Korea in the middle of.
But we didn't suck. Like we had the players, but we just couldn't put it together.
Yeah,
we sucked. It was scary. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you remember, but there was a typhoon in Korea.
Yeah, I remember.
We just we were the only flight that made it in, and we had to leave our luggage there and head over because the bridge was going to be flooded to get into Seoul. So
I remember guys saying like, "Oh my God, we might not even play," and I was like I was angry. Like I was like, "No way, man, no way."
But luckily, weather cleared up.
Yeah.
We had our workouts, and first game we're facing Team Japan.
Yeah.
And who do they pitch against us? We didn't know at the time. We were told he was the number 2 guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is what I heard, that he was like the best player in Japan, like the best player because he did both.
Yeah.
But I heard that he was disgusting, topped out at 100, but he was the second best pitcher.
So for those that don't know, it's Shohei
Ohtani.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani. Yes.
So we're facing Shohei Ohtani, opening game against Japan.
Yep.
And we go from not being able to win a single game, or maybe one game in Italy, against like competition that wasn't as good as Shohei Ohtani, obviously, to now
We went from lefties throwing 68 to facing a guy who was throwing splitty sliders in 97. And when he was throwing, he was reaching out so far, he was like in your mouth. That's how far out he got, man.
Oh yeah,
It was nuts.
So what was it like facing Shohei?
Well, first of all, let's talk. Can I go back a little bit?
Absolutely.
So when we landed in Korea, I don't know if you know this, half my luggage was gone. My suitcase came exploded and all my clothes were gone.
I didn't. I think I.
So I'm like standing there like, what?
You got to wear Korean clothes.
Like I'm like, what? So and then one by one, pieces of clothing start coming along the trolley. Like it must have exploded in there, and they like placed it. But they didn't just place it. Like my clothes were coming out on the trolley, folded. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, okay. Like these guys are taking care of it. Like usually, like in Canada, if your clothes come out of that thing, they're just throwing it on. In Korea, they folded it for me. So I was just picking it up, putting it in my suitcase. So I'm like, okay, good start. I thought I was
being Korean. I could attest to that.
Yeah,
That's Korean culture.
Yeah, I had no idea why, but I was like, okay, I thought all my stuff was gone. Boom, got it. And then making the starting lineup was like, I remember like those nights when you're in Florida and the Dominican and you're like, you had a bad game and you're like, okay, tomorrow I gotta show up, right? So like just all of that, like 6 months, 7 months, or whatever it was, of just like grinding like physically to prove yourself to yourself, you guys and your teammates, and then cracking that starting lineup was like, okay, you know, and it like, let's go now. Like now I'm here, I got my shot. Now it's all about winning now. I don't care what happens. It's just about winning. So to make that, I was in the 9-hole, but like I was going to be the best 9-hole on that field that day. You know what I'm saying?
You absolutely were.
I was going to be.
So basically we face Ohtani. Yeah. We're battling. We're putting good at bats against him. We get a couple runs off of him.
Well, we were up 3-1.
3-1 at one point, but then I think the game turned in the 6th or 7th inning. They went up like 5-3. Yeah. And Ohtani came out. Mm-hmm. So here's a reliever, and they cruise in through the 7th, 8th, and here we are. I think it was the 9th, top of the 9th. Mm-hmm. We had
bottom.
No, it was top. We
was bottom because we
didn't walk him off.
Yeah, we did.
We had to
pass ball.
We had to defend the bunt, I believe, on Japan's end.
No, we walked it off on a pass ball. I was at third.
We got to get Adam Morissette on it.
We were home team.
I think we were visiting.
We walked it off.
Okay, I'll double check that. Anyways, before the walk off, let's talk about.
It was a pass ball walk off. I was on third base.
No, because you hit the home run in the top of the 9th that tied it.
Bottom.
Okay.
Like I'm convinced you're convinced. We got to figure this out. How are we going to figure this out?
We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
Either way.
The
whole point was, I remember I was coaching third base.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there was 2 outs. Mm-hmm. And then we got, I believe, our 8-hole. I want to say it was Mitchell Triolo.
Nope. It was Pinero.
It was Daniel Pinero. So Daniel Pinero, who'd had a great career, by the way. Pinero was on base with 2 outs. Yeah. And here you are against the Japanese reliever. Mm-hmm. 2 outs, 9-hole. You hit a 2-run biscuit to tie the game.
Fuck yeah. So excuse my language.
That's all right.
One of the coolest moments of my life.
Oh, I was jumping up and down because that was a massive piece that we didn't realize. It was hindsight now, but that was what got us into the gold medal game, this win. Mm. But we ended up tying that, and then you said we walked them off, but I thought we just shut them down on defense because they failed to execute the extra inning play. But what people don't realize is that actually got us into the gold medal game, because that game against Japan, that home opener, we played Italy the next day again, right? Which we almost lost.
Didn't we walk them off? Brett Siddle hit a walk-off, little dinker.
Ground ball.
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was a dinker or something.
Yeah. So we walked them off, and then we ended up playing Taipei the next day,
Should have won that game.
They walked us off.
But we should have won that game.
Yes. But
It was a good game.
yeah. So it basically unfolded where we had those one-run games, and then we got rained out all of a sudden. Because now it's like rain started coming again, and then we had to play 3 games in 24 hours.
Yeah.
We had Panama, U.S., and Colombia
Yeah.
in 24 hours. And remember, we won maybe 1 game in Italy, and here we are off a high with
it wasn't
Japan.
U.S., it was Czech.
Oh, no, we beat Czech, and then
Yeah,
the 3
yeah,
games
okay,
that we
yeah,
had
yeah,
to do
yeah. Okay, gotcha,
was
yeah.
Panama, U.S., and then Colombia,
yeah.
right? And we ended up beating U.S. 1-0, and that win that we got against Japan carried over because Japan crossed over with us.
Yeah, the crossover was strange.
No, so it's basically
Because we
they do it now.
lost to Korea,
right?
and the next game we were playing was in the gold medal game.
Right, but
Like, we lost to Korea.
So the way it worked was who was in our side of the pool was U.S., Korea, Japan, and us. And basically, our wins carry over to the super rounds. That was the first year that they went to that format. It was called, and that's what they use today with WBC.
Yeah.
It's the initial countries of 12. They go to the top 6, right? Super rounds, and then the records carry over.
Yeah.
So our win against Japan and U.S. both carried us over. So the Korea game was meaningless.
It was
to us.
meaningless?
Yeah, it
'Cause
was.
I remember you guys.
We just didn't tell you guys.
Yeah, I remember guys
Yeah.
saying that, though. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Try winning
in my
every
mind,
game.
this is the
Yeah.
semifinals.
Yeah, no, 100%. But we just didn't tell anybody just because it's like get through the game. And then we ended up, Ryan Kellogg ended up playing against the U.S., pitching against the U.S., beat him 1-0 in 8 innings.
I got tossed in that game in the 9th. Wild.
Why'd you get tossed?
Why'd I get tossed? Because this umpire called a strike that wasn't a strike.
yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
Dropped a big F-bomb on him.
That's odd.
And I got to talk about a few things, though, during what we just talked about, okay? First of all, I don't know if this stat exists, but I think I might be the only guy batting 1,000 off Ohtani.
Nice.
I'm taking that one to the grave.
100%.
Unless I face him again by some miracle, as of right now, I'm batting 1,000 off Ohtani. And
2
you know
hits?
what? 2 hits, a walk, and an RBI.
Not bad.
He threw me a 3-1 slider to
Nasty.
walk me. Like, if that's not, like, he's saying, like,
That's a
okay,
compliment,
That's
yeah.
a compliment. He
Yeah,
just showed me
100%.
so much respect by throwing me a 3-1 slider in the 9-hole. That means I've been on him all game, right? But when I hit that homer, he had went to left field.
That's right.
So, like, as I'm running down the line and, like, looking to see what's going on, I see him jumping over the wall. And, like, dude, what are you trying to rob? Like, that ball wasn't close, dude. Like, chill out, okay? So I thought that was funny. But I remember running the bases. I have never felt – I'm still trying to find a feeling like that in my life. Like, it was the coolest moment ever, man, running around the bases and touching home. And, like, you know when you're younger, you come out of the dugout when a guy hits a home run, like, almost to the plate.
right.
Guys were, like, acting like it was a walk-off, but it was just to tie the game, right? That's how huge of a moment
was
it was.
massive.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but, like, all the coaches were pretty fired up. But Greg, hands behind his back, chin up like this, didn't do anything. And when I walked by him, he just went, right? Because he's got, like, that's so Greg Hamilton to keep it like that, right?
Yeah,
Like, he's
100%.
not going to get too excited, but you know, like, if he goes like this, he was excited, right?
Yeah.
And I remember
Oh, yeah.
watching the video and seeing him like that, and I just like, holy smokes, man! Like, what a moment!
Yeah, that's crazy. So that was my first world championship, junior.
I swear
18
you
under.
gave me the take too.
I didn't
It was a
give you the
2-0 count,
No,
and I
I-
thought you gave me a take, and I blew right through it.
take. I never give 2-0 takes. I'll tell you that.
Because I remember like, because you were giving signs, and I was like, oh man, like I might have missed something, but whatever.
But the crazy thing is, from my perspective, you know, that was my first year coaching. I was still playing.
Yeah.
And that won us the silver medal. We ended up losing in the gold medal game to the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
but such an incredible experience because that game, actually, I'm telling you, your hit got us into the gold medal game, period. And for me to see it from my perspective.
Yeah, what was your perspective? Like
My-
the whole situation, man.
I'm just like, man, we can't buy runs right now. Like, what can we do? We had a decent speed at the top
But
of the
if
order.
Pinero doesn't get on base there,
Yeah,
it's a
game's
whole
over.
different- Like, yeah.
Game's over. That's 2 outs. That's the third out, and we end up losing. We're down to our last out, literally.
Pinero doesn't get
Yeah.
on base there, I don't sign with the Cubs that tournament. Like, straight up.
Speaking of, so we end up winning a silver medal, which is great. But the crazier thing
awesome, yeah.
was that you made the all-tournament team, all-world team. You won the junior national team MVP.
I think, and I thought I had a shot at winning the MVP of that tournament if we had won that game, but whatever. You
Yeah,
can't
if
give it
I
to
think
losers.
it would have been yours
But
if we
still,
won the
like,
gold medal.
It was surreal to win all those things, man.
Yeah, and then but that also led to a big new chapter, which
Yeah.
was at that tournament. I remember. Do you remember the scout? It was
Steve
Steve Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah, Steve
My
Wilson.
dad, actually, he's from Victoria.
Oh,
Crazy.
is he?
And then, like, I had never met him before, but he was born in Victoria, and he had played with my dad back
Okay.
in the day. So it was just like
Crazy small world.
Small world. Why is this guy in Korea? Like, he was a Pacific Rim scout, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, for him to find me was nuts.
Yeah, oh yeah, we had a lot of talks with him there, and they ended up signing you as a free
Because
agent.
you guys didn't say anything to me,
We couldn't.
and my parents didn't either.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I
but
had
until
no
after the
idea.
tournament. Yeah,
No, it was like right before we played Korea. That's
Yeah.
when I signed. But like for the first like week, like I had no idea what was going on.
crazy. Yeah, and
What was he saying? Like, what was he talking to you guys about? Obviously,
Oh
like
no,
whatever.
it was more character check. Like, if we sign this guy, what type of player is he? I mean,
Yeah.
he had a good idea. Everybody had a good. You had a amazing tournament. So, like I said, it's easy to get behind players like yourself. It's easy to vouch for players that give it everything. There's nothing bad you could say about a player, and that's why for me, it was such a great moment to see for you coming from someone that was on the brink of not making it to becoming our 9-hole hitter to eventually becoming our cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
Right? To winning all-world team, Team Canada MVP, and signing a pro contract all within 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Wow.
And I mean, all those things are great. Love them. But I think the coolest one there was the the Team Canada MVP award. Like, if you look at that wall, who's on there? There's some dudes that have gotten that award, man. Like, some dudes. So just to be in the same kind of category as those Canadian guys, that most of them went off to play in the big leagues for a while and are still there. That's probably the coolest one to me, because like, the all world MVP is sick, but like it doesn't really live on. Like,
Right.
you got the award, but like the Team Canada one, like that's going to stay. Like, people are going to know that one for a while. So that one was really special to me. And I remember when Greg called me and told me that I was going to get that award, I had no idea. Like, I had no idea what it was or what was going to happen. So when I showed up to that Baseball Canada banquet, I was kind of overwhelmed. I had no idea it was going to be like that. He was like, make sure you get a suit. And I was like, suit? Like, I don't have a suit.
I'm a minor leaguer
I-
carrying a backpack.
Yeah, seriously. I have a pair of shorts and a T-shirt right now, man. Come on. But yeah, no, it's good, man. Like,
Yeah, no,
just looking back on all that, it's crazy.
For me, like, just sharing that experience with you, and now we're good buddies. We talk outside because you're involved in development now, and we spitball ideas. I see like the stuff you're doing with development. So it's really cool for me, at least, to see players like yourself go through the transition of making the impossible to living out their dreams to now giving back kind of like to your community. So like for me, it's such a blessing to witness, and it gives me more motivation to keep doing what I do. But like, what would you say from all this experience has led you to kind of doing what you do today?
Coaching baseball?
Yeah.
It's all I know. It's all I know. From the time I was 16 to 28, 29, I guess, when I hung it up for real. That's all I did. Off seasons, workout, train baseball, go to sleep. During the season, 9 months. I would go down to spring training in January, like 2 months early, just to be at the facility, like get my work in, so I'm not in the cold in Victoria in the rain. Like, I'm with guys that want to be there too, and like, you get to hit with the big leaguers when you go down that early, because it's not like camp.
Right.
So
They're
like
just
once I
playing,
figured that out, like I'm in. I wasn't making $1 when I would go down 2 months early. But guess what? That's the sacrifice you had to make. I was losing money doing that, but fuck, whatever. That's what you got to do. So I just think that from the time I was 16 till 29, like, you know, I got my doctorate in baseball. That's what I think. Like, I literally did 13 years of baseball school.
Right.
What else am I going to do?
Mm-hmm. So with that, how do you now teach that experience to kind of like the youth?
Well, it depends on the age. Like I do kids that are like I do mostly like older kids, some college guys that come back, but I do a lot of young kids too. And the young kids, first things first, you got to make sure that they love baseball and they're having fun. Yeah. For the young kids. Like, yes, you want to develop skill, but you got to do the right way with kids because it's a sensitive age. 100%. If those 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids get a coach who's too serious, too young, they're not going to want to come back. They're going to quit. They're going to be like, this isn't fun. So for these young kids, we got to make it fun. Right. And then the goal is to teach these kids that are like in high school what it takes. Like, hey, we're going to have fun. Like, I'm not playing baseball if it's not fun. Like, that's like, even when you're 0 for 5 with the golden sombrero, like, it's still kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like,
you got to make
still
it fun.
You got to find that's how crazy you got to be to find fun in that. 100%. Even when you're pissed, right? So just teaching them that, like, first you got to have fun, but like accepting failure. Like, you have, like, crazy, right? Like, think about, name something else where you can go like 27 for 100 and be considered good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's crazy. You just got out way more than you got on base, right? But that's still considered good. Right. So failure is going to happen whether you like it or not. And developing those kids that are in high school with the fun, the work ethic, and the understanding of how the game actually works, that's how you get good players. Right. Because I've seen players where, like, they're really good. They're not having fun because their coach took a piss on their spirit. Right. So, like, my number one goal for that kid, building up his spirit. What can I do for this guy to make him fall in love with the game again? Right. You understand what I'm saying? Or there's kids that have so much fun, but they're like just messing around and not understanding.
Yeah, they're not on the wrong side. Right.
They have and how good they are. So it's like every kid you get, you just got to like direct them in what area they need. Like, I'm not a cookie cutter coach. I don't teach everyone the same way. Whatever the kid gives me, I work with, and then I try to figure out who they are. Because when you're doing lessons and camps, if you don't build a relationship with the kid and really understand who he is and how he's feeling, what's the point of coaching him? Yeah. Like, it's not you'll be able to give him the basics, but like, if you really get into a kid and learn who they are, that's when you get the most out of them. So that's how I go about it.
No, I love that. I love that you touched upon that because that's so important, not only for the kid's sake, but I think for the coach's sake to understand, you know, baseball's supposed to be fun. Yeah. Like, you got to instill that as the foundational blocks, especially when they're early, especially if they're in high school. If they're always thinking that it's this is work and there's no reward to it and there's no end goal other than stress, then the kid's not going to find success. He's going to end up quitting baseball and he's going to be bitter towards baseball the rest of his life. So I think it's our duty as coaches to instill that in other coaches as well.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. But, absolutely. And you know what, man? Like, there's going to be stress in baseball too. Like, you can't, like, but it's how you manage it. Right. Right? Like, I think that's why I went bald, because of how much stress baseball gave me. Like, I'm not even kidding, man. Like, there were times in the minor leagues. Like, let me tell you a story. So in 2015, I was in low A, and that's the year actually I went to the Pan Ams. Okay. Yeah. And we won the gold medal. Right. So I left my team for a bit. I didn't have the best year. I think I hit like 240 with some bombs, but like nothing great. So the next year, actually, they were going to release me in 2016. And I had a coach who I became very close with tell me this, actually. They were going to release me, and there were 4 guys that stood up for me. 2 of my coaches, a guy named Buddy Bailey. Okay. If you look him up, absolute legend in the minor leagues, who's my favorite minor league coach of all time. Great. And then Theo Epstein. They said, like, no, we can't release this guy. Like, he's got heart, he's got grit, but like, we just got to let him find his way. So I went back to extended. So my first years, right? Extended, short season, low A.
Extended.
Back to extended. And that's another moment where you're like, I had like the field coordinator, Cousins, Tim Cousins, I think his name was. Cousins. He's actually the bullpen guy. He's the bullpen coach for the Orioles now, but he was my field coordinator, sat me down and said like, hey, it is what it is. You could have been released. You got guys fighting for you. Prove us wrong. So like I had to lean on where I came from, proving people wrong all the time, right? I get out of extended. You don't do that. When you go from low A back to extended, like I was 21, 22.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Right?
Yeah.
I raked. I put my back against the wall. I was throwing punches and I got out of there, right? So you know when you get to the minor leagues, from extended, they give you 4 days in a hotel.
Right.
4 days in a hotel, right? So being Canadian, I can't go rent a place. Like I don't have any proof to show people that I'm going to be here to pay. Like, right? It's hard. So I went online and this lady was renting out her closet.
Shut up.
I don't know what for. But I was like, hey,
Sold.
I play for the South Bend Cubs. I need a place to stay. Can I sleep in your closet? Can I live in your closet? I'm not kidding. The closet was like this. So if you walk into her house, like the upstairs is like the living room and all that, the kitchen, her bedroom's upstairs. But then when you go downstairs, there was like a little den, probably like the size of that, your golf simulator there, maybe smaller. And there was a closet in it, but it was a walk-in closet. So that was where I slept for 2 months.
Man.
I slept on a blow-up mattress. Now, not a blow-up mattress for a bed. One you put in the fucking pool and float on with a sheet. That's it.
That's my.
I swear to God. I ended up going from extended to being an all-star that same year in that league. Just because of grinding it out and like having to find a way to dig deep. But like that's the stuff people don't know. I'm sleeping on a pool floaty for 2.5 months, become an all-star, and then I get called up to high A. So I went 1 year extended, 1 year short season, low A, back to extended, back to low A all-star, high A. Right? Like
It's a
that's
grind.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and signing as a free agent out of high school is crazy. That story I just told you right there, crazy. The next year I go, started high A, all-star again, have the best year. And I kind of took off a little bit from there. But like, I could have rolled over. You know how many guys you've seen roll over, man?
Oh, that's the test. That's why it's so difficult, right?
And I had a lot of my field coordinators, like coaches and stuff, would always say like, if you really embrace the grind of the minor leagues, real life, it's gonna be easy. And he was right. Like,
He was right. Yeah.
I was homeless basically, man. Like when I would lay down, there'd be raincoats in my face, like sometimes wet because she went for a walk. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's so good.
And that's the dead ass truth, man. But like that, those are
the stories you don't hear about,
yeah, but
right?
that's what it's all about.
See, I think
I got a million of these things, man, and some of them are way worse.
I think what I get from this conversation from you is, make the best out of even the crappy opportunities that come your way or the trials and, failures in life that you think is a failure. Most people get emotionally caught up in that. Yeah. But if you see the beauty in that and you're willing to put in the work, I think that you're a testament to kind of like that attitude and mindset. And I think that mindset is such a great mindset for us to instill in the younger generation. Mm-hmm. So that is like one of the funniest stories, man. Like that's gold.
That's
though.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I got
and that's why. So this is a perfect time to end this, but also promote that we are going to start a podcast with you.
Yeah.
That it's going to tell more of these stories.
Yeah.
So this is a good segue to, I'm excited about the podcast we're producing for you, and we're looking to make more content and tell more stories with that. So look out for that in the next, I'd say, few months. And I appreciate you coming on.
Can I say one thing though before we
absolutely.
go? Okay. So like that coaching staff we had on the junior national team, it's probably one of my favorite coaching staffs I've ever had. Like
amazing.
You, Eck, Reedsma, and Hammy.
Oh yeah.
Like top shelf. Like I have so much respect for you guys. And Greg Hamilton. One of the best guys out there. Baseball Canada's so lucky to have him and the coaches that go down there and work with the junior team. You guys were great.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
you're the man. You know I love you.
Thank you. I appreciate
you having me on, man.
Same to you, man.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that wraps us up. But thank you so much, Jesse Hodges. Looking forward to creating more great content and baseball stories with you.
Thanks for having me, man. Cheers.